DCC, and welcome to another episode of Morning Coffee. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about a subject that we it's a little weird, but it's about your tongue. And in James chapter 3, it likens something I think all of us, at least that lived in Colorado Springs over the last 5 to 10 years, can relate to, and that's forest fire. James says that your tongue is somewhat like this little spark. It sets off this huge thing, and this huge great forest fire is started by this little spark, and it likens that to the tongue and the things that we say. That it has this massive impact to destroy. That we can just say one little word, we can say one little phrase, and all of a sudden it can just destroy somebody. It can hurt them. It can cut deep, and that can be us doing it, or it could be someone doing it to us. So I don't know if you're a country music fan, and I kind of like all different kinds of music. This week seems to be a music theme. I've got Ozzy Osbourne yesterday, and today I'm going to talk about Eric Church. But Eric Church has a song that's called "To Kill a Word." If I could kill a word, and he says, "I'd poison never, I'd shoot goodbye, I'd beat regret, and I'd hang hate so that it can't be heard." And, later on I think when he hit the chorus, he says, "Give me sticks, give me stones, bend my body, break my bones. You can't unhear, you can't unsay." And that whole song speaks to the power of words, right? When you use the word, like he says, "I'd poison never." Think about how many times those of us in a rash moment say, "I'm never going to do that. I'll never be like that. I'll never do that," only, of course, to do that many, many times. And shoot goodbye. None of us like to say the word goodbye. And some of us have experienced, depressing loneliness when, we've had to say goodbye to some of our best friends, some of our loved ones, whether it's just them moving away, or sometimes if we're saying goodbye forever, right? Goodbyes just suck sometimes. And I'd beat regret. Regret is this thing, like, you just want to go back. There's things in our life, I think Greg says it so many times, there's just parts of our story that we'd like to hit replay or go back in time and kind of fix and change and rewind and start over and do over. And so this idea that, he says you can't unhear and you can't unsay. And there are so many times in our life, right, that we're told something that stuck with us, and we couldn't, it's still with us today, right? That passing word, that passing phrase, somebody says something to us, and it just sticks. It sticks with us. When I was in high school, I remember I was a freshman in high school, and I was just starting to kind of play football in Waverly, Iowa, and I remember these two guys that were kind of studs on the team, Andy Ott and Scott Renning. And I remember them like making some comment. They didn't know I could hear them, and they were talking about me. And they made a comment about whether I could, play football or whether I could handle the ball and stuff like that. And so, that stuck with me for a long time. And but I used it as fuel, and I tried to get really good at football. And those words, right? I still remember them. I still remember where I was. I swear I could smell the grass at the practice field and everything. But just those words, that feeling that I wasn't quite there, that I wasn't accepted, that they didn't think the best of me. And so those words had impact, right? And then he says you can't unsay. How many times do we as parents get frustrated or in a moment and we lash out, we'll say something, maybe we'll say it to even our spouses, and we want to get those words back. As we're saying them, we almost wish we could just pull them back in our mouths. And so this tongue, this thing that, it's like one of the most powerful weapons ever. It can be the most powerful weapon for good, or it can be just a terrible, powerful weapon for bad. And so it's this dichotomy. It's kind of a paradox, right? It's this ability to try to help control our mouth, right? We've got to get control of what we say. We need to tell people that we appreciate them, that we honor them. We need to give them attaboys. We need to encourage them. We need to be there to stand up for them and to verbalize our love for them. But at the same time, we can use that mouth to tear, to, if with me as a husband, I know just the right things to say to my wife, and I know those little touchy points and those areas of sensitivity, and I can say the things just because I want to get a little dig in, right? And so those of us that have done that, you sit back 30 minutes later, an hour later, the next day, and you reflect on those moments, and you're just like, man, what a jerk. And so today I want you to go through today, and I just want you to think about, if you could kill a word, what would you kill? And try to get ahead of it, right? Like, try to think through. If you're at work and you're in a stressful situation, quick think, control your tongue, say the right thing. If you can't say something great, then just keep silent. All right? So the biggest goal, control our tongues, but we got to open our mouths. We got to praise people and encourage them, but we want to make sure that we're not destroying them or hurting their character or tearing at them or digging on them as well. All right? So go today, control that tongue, and use it for good. Have a good day.